You're listening to episode 4 of the Library Techcast, WorldShare time. This episode was recorded live on Friday, September 27th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy!
This podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Listen to other great tech podcasts at www.techpodcasts.com.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Library Techcast. Today we're going to talk about OCLC's new WorldShare. Everybody will have to switch by November 25th. I'm Jeff Sable, a reference and instruction librarian at Concordia University Library. And my co-host, Riley, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Riley Childs. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the student librarian, I guess, and it's more library manager, library technology manager sort of deal at Charlotte United Christian Academy. I am interested in everything from the wires in the wall to the shelving of the books and everything in between, more particularly on the information technology side of things. So we do have, our first news item today. In a reoccurring theme, we're talking about iPads, but on our first episode, we talked about the LA School District and how they're giving students iPads for
every student's going to get an iPad eventually. Yes. Every student in the second largest school district in the nation. And I mean, we're only keep readdressing this because it seems to be coming up in the news so often, and it seems like educators, particularly public school educators, are sort of fascinated with the iPad as a learning device. I'm not exactly sure why, but so in the LA School District this week, students had adverted the security features and were able to unlock the device, which of course administrators were extremely troubled by, and news organizations were happily to report about high school students being able to figure out how to unlock these iPads completely. Any thoughts on that, Riley?
Well, the one thing you really need to think about here is that the fact that the LA School District, think about it. In my opinion, this wasn't fully thought through, number one.
And this was just the test. This is just the test school too, so they haven't rolled them out everywhere yet.
Oh shoot, I froze up on the screen. There I am. Okay. But number one, it wasn't very well thought through. Number two, they didn't do anything on the device besides install a client profile, which is very troubling. And number three, they had no way to know if someone disabled the client profile, which is really very, very troubling. And it's very, very easy to uninstall the client profile. It takes about, let's think, 5 seconds. I mean 5 seconds. And
well, in some of the interviews with the head technologist in the for the LA School District, he said he was baffled that this happened. So, and I mean, he never got really into particulars, so he seemed more like an administrator than someone versed in technology or any sort of technological aptitude.
And I'm going to say this one more time. I'm going to say this probably several times. Do not buy iPads and let your students bring them home. Make sure that they are monitored and use them only at school. And the best course of action is always A, an Android environment, or B, BYOD. Bring your own device. Always the best option.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if schools offered financing of some sort, for low-income students, 0% financing, at least there'll be some sort of ownership of the device. Because another topic was, I guess the reporter asked, well, what if someone loses their device and it's disabled? You're there's no way you could track it, and theoretically, who's going to pay for it? These are, when they say low income, they're living in California and Los Angeles making $20,000 a year, and there's absolutely no way that they're going to be able to replace this device. So that's another, who's ultimately going to be held responsible, and are we going to see situations where Los Angeles school district is suing a single mother of five that can barely pay her bills, and suing her for her son's iPad that he lost? So those are all questions that sort of need to be considered, and I do agree with Riley that these iPads should not be going home. I mean, if they're school property, they need to be accounted for before they leave. And you can offer even, extended study periods after school, I'm sure, where a teacher stays, and if people want to stay and use their iPad, they're free to do so.
And the one thing that my school is doing that I don't really agree with,
Well, they're iPad crazy too, right? The PTA. They're
oh yeah, which the PTA was actually formed. Check the date here. A month and 5 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And their big plan, and if anyone from my school is watching, this is my personal opinion and is not representative of anyone else's opinion at the school. Just letting you know that my personal opinion is that we need to invest in two things. A, more laptops, because a laptop is more powerful than an iPad in this situation. And for the price of a single iPad, even the lowest end one, or like an iPad mini, you can get two desktops or 1.5 laptops for the price of the iPad mini.
And you could do so much more with laptops and desktops. I mean,
Oh,
even
yeah.
in an educational environment, in my opinion. I was saying to a colleague that they should give every student, just like a blank laptop, and be like, first you'll learn how to install your operating system, and then we'll go from there.
Just remember, it's never a good idea to let a consumer install an operating system. Never a good idea.
I don't know. I mean, I muddled my way through Ubuntu. I have it on a parallel with my Mac, and I mean, I think it works fine.
Ubuntu's easy. I mean, if I was going to choose a Linux distro to install the first time, or tell someone to go install a Linux distro, Ubuntu holds your hand the entire time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you want to try installing something hard, try like Arch Linux or Fedora. Well, actually, or no, try Unix BSD.
Unix BSD.
Yeah, it's because it's not meant to be installed by end users, really. It's meant to be installed on servers and stuff, but it's a desktop operating system. But yeah, so that is just a little bit more about, I guess, about iPads.
Yeah.
We weren't planning on mentioning it, but we just learned about this recently, and we were like, wow, this will have a great effect on like these sorts of programs.
Yeah, and if anybody
we
can,
did want to give
oh, go ahead, Riley.
Oh, I was gonna go ahead. I was gonna say Ben.
Oh, I was just saying, if someone can email in and explain why school administrators are so infatuated with iPads, I would love to know some reasons. It's really baffling to me. I mean, maybe it's just all marketing with Apple, but it seems strange.
And you can send that now to comments@librarytechcast.com if you have any of that information. Yes, we have a domain now.
So moving on, Banned Book Week.
Yes.
Oh, do you have anything left to say about the iPads?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Moving on. Oh wait, if you're watching live, don't send an email yet, because the email account doesn't exist. It will exist after the show.
This part out?
No.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. So let's move on. Banned Book Week. Banned Book Week is this week, and if you haven't heard that in your home state, Riley, you can go ahead and you want to tell us about it. How a school
Yeah.
district in
I believe it was the Randolph County School District, in North Carolina. Um, and this is actually really the first time I've heard of something like this in a while. I think there was something down in Texas with Fahrenheit 451 a couple years ago. But I mean, it's very rare to see banned books anymore. Um, Someone should correct me if I'm wrong, but that's I haven't seen any in a while. Um, but
one case is that when I was in library school, there were quite a few that people that worked at elementary school libraries where they would say parents would complain, and rather than deal with it, they would just pull the book. So I mean, I don't know how prevalent it is in public libraries. I don't think so, but maybe in elementary school, middle school libraries, it may be.
yeah, that kind of makes sense. I know there was a it makes sense in some cases where there's a book that is either like an asset transfer to them that really should have been transferred to them, like um, let's say a porn, like I mean, an adult content graphic novel. Yeah, but
Right, right.
um, yeah, because I mean there was something on there about I think it was on LibChat on Wednesday about that. But yeah, it was I believe it was The Invisible Man, because it had it discussed race and individuality. Yeah, two very horrible things. Yeah, individuality. But it was actually basically immediately after it happened. I think it was a couple days. The school board voted to redact that and
Yeah,
to
I think
reverse the decision.
once it was in the media, they sort of realized, um, that what they did was insane,
Uh-huh.
and they sort of,
Yeah, oh yeah. I totally that makes
reversed position immediately.
yeah, and it was a single parent that complained. And I'm not sure how big the Randolph County School District is, but generally I've noticed in the past that it's been one student, it's been one parent. I mean, I don't understand that. Um and that and that really can go for anything. I mean, um websites. Uh, in particular, there are some schools that are blocking websites that shouldn't really be blocked. I mean, um, I can point out Wikipedia, and everyone's going to come back and say, "But Wikipedia is not accurate." Well, there was a study done that says that
Oh,
is
they
actually it's
actually
more
block Wikipedia at public schools?
at the CMS, which someone from there is probably going to send me an email saying, "Yeah, not anymore." I haven't checked back there, but I know there used to be a way around it where you could just click View Cached on Google, and it would bring it right up. Um, but yeah, and you really have to be careful when you're thinking about blocking websites. Like I mean, you have to sit down, you have to say, because I know there are some cases where a school administrator will be lazy and just haul in basically the basic stuff. So it would be like it's button click, and it's the preset blocks, I guess you might call it.
Right,
Um,
right, yeah. I mean, because
well,
they have companies that sort of go through and have a list of block sites for or age appropriate sites. I'm sure where they're outsourcing it.
I know we use SonicWall at my school, and our subscription has lapsed. So don't tell anyone in the whoever enforces the Online Child Protection Act, because we were not compliant for about a year and a half. Or I think it might have been even 2 years. And I just sent an email to our IT people, and I said, "Hey, um, I just I've been thinking about this, and I'm sure there was a valid reason." And he said, "Oh shoot, we let the subscription lapse." Um,
Oh shoot.
and it was like and and I don't and I for the longest time I thought maybe I'm not affected because I'm in the bypass filter group because of
Right,
because
right.
I need to access sites that aren't normally allowed for students to access. Um, but I mean, yeah, you have to be careful on blocking websites because net neutrality, I mean, making sure that the website that I'm staring at, everyone else is looking at, and there isn't any censorship. Because I've seen situations where it doesn't even tell you where it's blocked.
Oh
So
yeah,
you,
yeah. I mean, I think since we're sitting here discussing Banned Book Week, and is that the next thing where sort of websites are going to be banned? I
because
mean, obviously they're easier to access than books would be, physical books, but I mean, I think that's the next frontier we're looking at here.
because to a certain extent, you have to sit down and you have to say, oh wait, hang on, I phrased that weird. To a certain extent, you have to sit down and you have to say what should be blocked. I believe the on whatever it is, the whatever says that there has to be filters installed at schools and libraries. I think it says um, it vaguely defines what should be blocked. It basically says pornography. I mean, and then it says like anything that may be considered offensive. But what's offensive?
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah,
White
I mean,
supremacy documents are offensive to you and me, but they might not be offensive to the white supremacist that's down the street. So what's the definition of offensive? Um,
well, I think you have to, look at the community, the community as a whole. Because I mean, there are these schools that don't sort of comply are opening themselves up to litigation on some
hmm
level. And I mean,
yeah,
that's I think how all this started was that people were bringing lawsuits saying that they should be blocking or filtering the web for I mean, at least when they're in the custody of the school.
yeah, um, yeah. And I guess that's just really important to think about. We are going to move along to
Move it
the
along.
what we told you we were going to talk about last week, which is OCLC's WorldShare, as they start to decommission the two older systems, Iliad and the other one, which is
First
First
search.
Search, which both were made mostly for documents. I mean, First Search was made for books, but I know the Iliad was made. Iliad, that's a shout out to Homer. Um, but
I
uh,
think it's an acronym for something.
yeah, it is, and it just happens to be the name of of a poem, a really long poem. But uh, but I know that, and
Yeah, so let me so a couple so November I think 25th is the last day you can initiate searches through First Search. So WorldShare launched. My library has switched over already. We're loving it. Um, it's a new interface. Besides the different terminology that they're using, the one of the best features I think about it is when you could set up pre-selected schools that you could search with. They're called custom holding paths in the WorldShare platform. And what's so beneficial about those is it pretty much automates the entire process where if you find the title, you select it, you hit your custom holding path for either articles or books, and then it automatically populates your the form. Where before, I mean, the only unautomated part about First Search was that you had to go through and manually select these schools. I think they did have some sort of feature like this, but now it's completely automated. You could even theoretically put a student assistant involved if for I mean that's how easy it is where you find the title, you click on it, um, you hit your custom holding pass in there, boom, you're done.
At this point in the show, Jeffrey's laptop died. We are going to fast forward to where he is back online and we resumed our show.
Welcome back. We're sorry about those technical difficulties. In editing time, that should have been less than a second. Okay, so where were we?
So custom holding paths. Yeah, so I mean now you basically can 100% automate your borrowing or lending. Say you're a part of a particular consortium, or you um, want regional close libraries, you can create profiles for all that. So if you have a request that is needed immediately, you click, local schools, puts all the data in. All you do is type the patron's name. Boom, you got your book in whatever, a week or two. Or articles are even shorter. It also keeps track now, which is a new feature. If you keep requesting the same book, say 20 times in a year, it'll give you that a notice like, hey, maybe you should buy this book for your collection, which is another awesome feature of the new WorldShare. Another thing that you get is your own URL. So I guess, I don't know, theoretically, you save it on your desktop and you just go in through there. Maybe it makes login easier, or if the main page is down, you sort of can still get to your profile within that. But yeah, I encourage everybody to go ahead and if you're an interlibrary loan manager, or you use interlibrary loan, you can actually set up the new WorldShare and it'll run side by side until whatever the new year with the old first search. So you can go back and forth and see where things are at in first search, and then say, oh well, this is where they're at in WorldShare, which is nice. The only one concern I did have with it is at my school we use the patron initiated request. So they actually go into the OCLC, select the book, fill out their information, and then they email it to, and that sends it to us as a potential request. Once we do that, then we search for the book ourselves. We could do that on WorldShare now, but I kept asking, well, is the interface for the patrons going to change? I mean, it's obviously going to change, but they won't give me a definitive answer of when it's going to change, or is it going to be replaced with something in WorldShare, which is, for us, I mean, we would just have to create a custom request form.
So, so what do you mean? So they request the book and then you
So
go
they actually, yeah, right. So they actually go into OCLC, look up the title, and then they attach their name and information to that title. It goes into a queue. We can go into there and say, okay, we got 5 requests from students. The benefit of this is they actually have to find the actual book, so we know they want that book. It's not just a title or a partial site or some book they remember they saw on TV and the title is completely wrong. So that cuts down on our work, I guess, as far as trying to locate different books that may or may not exist. You sort of cut out the probability of this. Well, I mean, the book has to exist. It may not be the exact book they want, but they selected that. And it's, it helps out with undergraduates that aren't 100% sure of titles. And
okay, so the workflow basically is the student looks up the book, a form is automatically populated with the information, they submit it, it goes into a queue, and you approve it, or you find the book yourself?
So yeah, so then they would just select the book and attach their information. Then it goes into a queue, and before you would go and look, and you would look up the book on the first search, and then you would see what schools have it and automatically select those. I mean, and then you physically select those schools manually. I guess I would use a better word. Now everything's the same until we can just automatically populate it. So that takes that completely out.
Nice.
But yeah. Oh, it's awesome. The only thing is, which I was saying, is that user interface that the students are using is still on the old platform, and there's no definitive answer one way or another if they're gonna sort of transition that over.
Because I know at our library it must be different. Because I know that we have Iliad, and then I believe we have First Search or some other type of deal. And you go in, you find the book, and it's like you've checked it out,
Oh,
and it's
really?
just going to be mailed to the library, and you're going to pick it up at the library.
But that's not, you don't let every person do that, right?
I think you have to have maybe you have to have been a member of the library for so long, but I believe anyone can do that.
Huh. Well, yeah, that's I guess, now that it's more automated, that may be, because we can, if we're automating the back end, it may be that, once they hit submit, it's just going to automatically populate it and then actually be borrowed.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's not that big of a stretch now from what they fill out, and then all we do is basically hit a button.
Uh,
So I mean, that button can be automated, I'm sure. It's just, what's the timeline for OCLC doing that?
so can you show us your interface?
Yes, let me.
Um, so just would like to remind everyone who's watching that the cutoff date for um, a First Search and Iliad is November 15th. So it is highly recommended. I'm sure most of you have already begun. Make sure you start to begin your migrations like now. Oh,
Sorry. Let me log in first. I haven't logged in. I'll
okay.
share my screen once I'm logged in.
Yeah, you probably don't want to. Yeah, I'm actually about to go in and, well, no, because that's not going to be shown um, in the podcast. So I don't need to change my password. Well, I'm probably going to change it anyway.
Okay. Already had me logged in.
Uh,
Okay, so
oh,
here
there
it
it is.
is. This is the new interface. They have some, as you can see, they relabeled stuff. Instead of searching, you're going to discover items.
Mm-hmm. Oh, discover. So is that
Yeah, yeah.
so is that what the student sees, or is that what?
No, the student still sees the old form. I can actually pull that up if you want.
Okay.
Let me see. And anybody who I don't know how many schools are still using this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't believe that many are, but maybe. So here goes the school's website, and then so the student would just come to the website, click on interlibrary loan, um, click on the WorldCat icon. You have to log in from off campus. On campus, you don't have to log in.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
and
this is
then
what they would see. So if they want to, let's say they want to search for a book, they would just type in the title. Um, and so this is basically how first search would look to any user. And then
and
you would
then
hit. So
do,
once you find the book you want and say, oh, I want this book. When they hit borrow this from another library, they're
does
just going to put their name and stuff in. If it's an article, they would put the site right here, and then that goes to us, and then you would see it on WorldShare under produced, or sorry, not produced, but it's another category where it would
okay.
say, yeah. So I mean, it's the functionality, but when they're saying that WorldShare or First Search is going away, I mean, this is part of First Search,
So
So,
you're going to be transitioning to something
well,
like,
they said this for now, this is staying,
okay,
but I don't see how it can continue to.
talk to world. So it talks to WorldShare.
Yeah. You
Oh,
can
neat.
right now. You can run. I can actually go into the old interface as well, and everything that is here would be. I mean, and sometimes they have different. I think it's maybe created in the old one. But let's say
Okay.
you look for a book, and So if you found your book, you can just click here for the. So this is the custom holding pass. We're part of
Okay.
libraries who like to share, and that's everybody does it for free. And then you would just say go.
So does it talk to your iOS to figure out what you have and what you don't?
Well, we upload all our holdings to OCLC anyways, so
Okay.
we don't really do that.
Okay,
But I
so you don't
mean,
have to worry
most
about
most
that?
cataloging, people use OCLC or the cataloging
Okay.
module. So yeah, so
Neat.
now this just, I mean, it adds it all in here, and then you're done. It's
Yeah,
really
that looks
it's really
nice.
simple. Yeah, yeah. Instead of going and having to go and select each individual school, or even when I think in the old one you could bring up certain different schools, but you would have to make sure that they were showing up in that for that list. So it would give you a list of schools that shared for free, but then you would still have to go and manually select each school, which I mean,
Yeah, that.
I mean the benefit. I mean, so obviously it's only one more automated process before it can be completely initiated by the student, and we wouldn't even really have to touch the request at all. So if you're listening, WorldShare, OCLC, let's get automating. Um, yeah, and so that's
Hmm.
basically the new WorldShare. But don't be afraid of it. It's easier to use. There's plenty of webinars, recorded video tutorials that are over there on the OCLC website. And like I said, you could run both of them parallel up until I think the new year. So it's just November 25th. You can't make any more requests. I guess you could still manage a couple things from there, but I mean, if you're not making requests, what's really the point of the utilizing that? I mean, that's the main function of using either First Search or WorldShare.
Yeah, you really it's a WorldShare is a very useful platform, and I'm sure there are actually a lot of localized consortiums that use different software. Because I think the public library here. I think they use First Search, and I think they use something else, and they somehow have enough clout to magically be able to have all those systems talk to each other. Because I remember seeing a whole bunch of different interfaces, and then well, a while back I remember it being one unified interface. So they must have had enough clout to be able to get like API access and be able to.
Yeah,
Uh,
they do. I mean, they're really pushing APIs for not just the WorldShare, but their ILS. I don't know what it's called. SharePoint, maybe.
mm-hmm.
But they're pushing API. I mean, go to their website and check it out. But I mean, they're really developing a you know community that's developing these APIs and sort of the functionality that goes along with that.
Mm-hmm. Because APIs are one of the most important things. If you start to build a web application, that's me, and don't think about, hey, maybe I should have a way to get the data out in small amounts, also, and put data in, also known as an API. You have to build it on top of your existing web application, which, trust me, you don't want to do. I'm doing that right now. Don't want to do that. But our 30 minutes with you this week begins to draw to a close. So we're gonna wrap things up. Anything that you want to say before we start to go, Jeff?
No, just everybody have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Okay. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We are at Library TechCast. We have a new website. We're librarytechcast.com. Don't worry, all the old links still work and map to the same places. Don't. We are going to get a Facebook, facebook.com/librarytechcast. And if you would like to send us an email asking questions, suggesting a show topic, or interested in guessing, or want to talk about your fantastic open source project, send us an email. info@ librarytechcast.com. If you have a question for either me or Jeff, send an email to, for me, Riley at librarytechcast.com, or for Jeff, Jeffrey at librarytechcast.com. Thank you so much. Have a great week for the Library Techcast. Oh yeah, also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, at RowdyChildren, and don't forget to follow Jeff on Twitter. He's at LA Libraryman. For the Library Techcast, I'm Riley Childs.
Bye.
Join us next week on Friday, October 4th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, when we will be discussing the new banned books, Internet Filtering. We want you to have a voice. Contact us at info@librarytechcast.com to be part of our roundtable or submit your general opinions. You can now find us on Stitcher Radio. You can download the app on Google Play or the iOS App Store. You can now follow us on Twitter. We're at Library Techcast. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Library Techcast. Audio listeners can now watch episode segments on youtube.com/Library Techcast. Have a great week. We would like to give Michael Schofield a special shout out for his assistance in the initial planning stages of the Library Techcast.